Welcome to the latest edition of Lunchtime Learning. I'm delighted and honoured to be joined today by Marnie Senior. Marnie is a sales agent at McGrath. I have the absolute pleasure of listening to Marnie and three other wonderful ladies at the AREC, going back May now, so a couple of months ago. And I'm really grateful that you said yes to come onto the podcast. So welcome. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me on. I'm grateful for you asking me to come on. So thank you.
You are very welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into agency? What were you doing before?
Yeah. So my story is I left school. I did study travel and tourism. After studying travel and tourism, I did go traveling, backpacking, like all Australians do. They come over to Europe and London. And loved traveling, but came home and didn't want to book everyone else's holidays. I was a little bit lost, to be honest. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And my sister-in-law at the time worked at a boutique office in Double Bay in Sydney. And she owned a rent roll at a company called Di Jones. And they were a boutique office, really well known. And she had shares in the rent roll. And one day, one of her staff members never turned up to work, and it was executive leasing. So it was actually driving clients around in a little Di Jones old-fashioned mobile. And she called me one morning in a panic. She knew I wasn't working. I just got back from, traveling, and said, I really need you to come into the office today. I need help. It's like, yeah, sure, no problem. I had absolutely no idea what I was in for. And pretty much it was just, to begin with, driving executive clients around, showing them high-end rental properties. And high-end then, I'm talking like 97, 98, so it's a long time ago, giving away my age. But anyway, it was, up to 5,000 a week rental properties. So it was dealing with high-end clients, driving a little old-fashioned car around. But from day one, I really fell in love with the job and meeting people and different people all the time. So she was short-staffed, and it went from driving clients around. At the time, Bill, Di's husband, and Di were actually overseas, and saying, who have you got working for you? Who have you got working for you? And then, I hadn't met them, so they came back from traveling. And then straight away, as soon as they came back, they offered me a job as a leasing consultant. So that's how I fell into real estate.
Okay. And then from there, what happened?
From there, I went from leasing consultant to property manager. From there, in Sydney in 98, there was a hailstorm, and everyone's roofs were destroyed. Literally, I had thousands of insurance claims, and I was working in property management at the time. So I used to work at the back of Di's house. So it was a coach house on top of her garage. So I used to see Di and Bill all the time, although Di was obviously selling and she was in the office that was at the front of her house. And Bill, her husband's office was above me, and the accountant's office were on top of us. So to see them all the time. Anyway, so we were sort of working long hours trying to get rid of all the insurance claims and get on top of that work. And she came into the office one day crying, went upstairs. She had a long, her PA was with her for a long, long time. Her whole career, she had a lady working for her called Jackie. She came up, come in the office crying, talking to Bill, and I could overhear the conversation. It was Jackie had to leave work, couldn't come back because unfortunately her husband fell ill. And Di was like, what am I going to do? I can't work without Jackie. I can't do this. I can't do that. Then they left, and I went upstairs to the accountant. I said, look, I've just heard that conversation. I really would love to be Di's PA. She said, go into the front house and tell them immediately before they start hiring somebody else. So I walked into Bill's office, said, I really need to talk to you. Probably shouldn't have overheard the conversation, but I overheard Di in a panic about Jackie. I would really love the job. And he then, he was back then sat back in his chair and he goes, okay, but what about all these insurance claims? I said, I'll guarantee I'll come back every night and work with Jane until they are all finished and completed. But I really want to go into sales, and I want that job. So fortunately, I did have the jobs. Obviously Bill gave me the job, and that's how I went from property management to sales. So lucky for me, unfortunate at the time, but it was an opportunity for me to learn in Sydney. I feel Di was a leading agent in our industry and also a female role model to me. So I was really grateful for that opportunity.
Okay, I think we went to Di Jones' office whilst we were over there, actually.
Right, yeah. So they've grown a lot now. Obviously, Di retired. The business was purchased. Lots have gone on, but her brand is still running. I know Dean Mackey has taken over that, and he's done an incredible job, with the brand. Unfortunately, Di has passed away. So, but yeah, she was an inspiration to me, a role model, and I am forever grateful, because at the time, I didn't know it at the time, but looking back on the beginning of my career, the office was full of superstar agents. At the time, I was fresh and new into the industry, and I didn't realize that until later. I was surrounded by leading agents, really good role models, and I was a sponge to all those agents at that time. And looking back now, I was so lucky to be in that position at that time. So, and it was a very small boutique office. So we all sat together. I sat next to Di. I had Di's daughter, Kim, Debbie Donnelly, who is an owner of a big company in Sydney called PPD Real Estate with Alex Phillips. So I was surrounded by people that were incredible in their field. A craft at what they do. So, and I was just young coming through it and a sponge to all those people. So really, really lucky with that grounding.
Oh my word! Right, I'm gonna try and unpack everything you said so far, and then I want to come on to McGrath, because obviously you've worked with some unbelievable people, and you mentioned Alex Phillips, and Alex Phillips does this podcast with Josh Fegan.
Yes, I love, I'm always I do coaching with Josh. So Josh is incredible. So you should be coming to Blueprint soon. That's Josh. Have you ever done one of Josh's blueprints?
No, Luke has. So Luke has done it, and I think he's been mentioned.
Because I do I'm backstage for that, hosting the online audience. Okay. So we have a bit of fun. Drew and I are backstage as co-hosts doing it's actually really good content in Blueprint. Really good. So yeah.
Come on here and you're selling stuff. Unbelievable.
Oh, I know I shouldn't be doing that, but I do. I have implemented his systems into my business today.
Okay, good. Well,
a lot of it.
Well, I'm going to make sure you share half of that today then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Training session. Okay, let's just unpick some of the stuff from what you said. So starting off from coming back from traveling to dealing with celebrities in a way, high-end people. What were your lessons that you learned from the start? How did you deal with those people?
Can I tell you, I learned very quickly to get to know your product that you're leasing or that you're selling. Because fresh in the job, I had leased a property in the middle of Sydney in an area that's extremely busy. There's no parking, and I leased it with a car space, but really it didn't have a car space. So Di made me pay for that car space for 12 months, the whole term of the lease. So get to know your product, get to know your area, get to know the people in your area.
Okay, great advice. Thank you. Okay, then going from lettings into property management. Now, you talked about dealing with all those insurance claims. So again, how do you deal with people that love complaining the whole time, rightly or wrongly so? What skills do you think you needed to have and learn from that side of a business?
Yeah, absolutely. It was chaos at that time when that happened. People would have no roofs. We had to get them, short-term accommodation. People's roofs were caving in. So, you know, relationships with tradespeople that were going out to help people. It was a time of chaos. Again, I feel at that period of time, and also that right now in real estate, it's just really important to communicate good or bad news, and constantly, you know, calling the owners, keeping them updated, keeping them calm, letting them know that we were doing everything that we could to help the situation. And it was tenants, owners, you know, finding accommodation, insurance companies. It was chaos, but it was just making sure we stayed on top and just over communicated with everyone.
Okay, so that's really interesting, because we met with Matt LaHood, and
Yes.
we were having a conversation about vendor care, and
Yes.
I don't know what your vendor care is like, but you know,
Oh,
Matt was saying, you know, we do it every day consistently. You know, even if we haven't had the physical viewings, you know, we've had virtual viewings, and you know, we're telling people exactly what's going on, and have that conversation in the UK, and people are going, no, that's way too much over communication.
look, I think you can never over communicate, and if you know, we are selling people's most valuable assets or leasing people's most valuable assets. They want to know, they want to hear from you. You've got to build the trust in them, because when the time comes and you give them the advice that you feel like they should be accepting the offer or taking the offer, if you haven't communicated, they're not going to be on board. So vendor management and care is one thing that I'm especially with my staff as well. It's pick up the phone, don't text, over communicate, stay in touch, guide them, help them. And we do a lot of little touches throughout our campaign with our vendors. When I list the property, I tell them when they're going to hear from me, how I'm going to communicate with them. I set expectations, I set a time, discuss that all in advance, so they know when they're going to hear from me. And if they don't, they'll get upset as well. So it makes myself accountable to them. So yeah, vendor communication, care, updating, it's really important. So, and also post-sale, we over communicate with our vendors post-sale. It's one thing that John McGrath, he is, you know, forever saying, let all your clients leave you as raving fans. So it's one thing we do, is try and over communicate in the settlement period, because you're the last point of, you know, contact for a long time until they decide to buy or sell again. And you want them to have a good, a good memory of you and leave a good impression on them for sure.
Okay, cool. There's so many things here. This could
Yeah.
be going on forever, Marnie. Right.
Yeah.
Let's just come back and talk about vendor care. I want to try and come back to sales, but I'm conscious of
Yes.
time. So it's loads of great stuff that you're sharing there. So I know the market over here has changed, and the properties have come onto the market, and actually agents aren't getting the viewings that they were before, and maybe a week has gone by and there's nobody coming in to see the property. What sort of things would you be saying then to that vendor to keep them on board?
I do a lot of face-to-face meetings in that situation. And I'm not sure on your market there, but in Sydney, if no one's coming through and it's been on market for 2 weeks, it's price related. You've got to have a price reduction. And that's one thing I do face-to-face with my clients. I will have a listed property that is on the market that is comparable to the property I'm selling, and how we are priced high comparable to them, and we're actually helping sell all the other listings out there by doing that. So having a detailed report on the property size, bedroom, aspect, what it's made out of, brick veneer, fibro, whatever the difference is in the property, have an extremely detailed report and sit down with them and say, hey, look, this is on market. This is how it compares to yours. This is what they're guiding. This is how many days it's been on market. I want to avoid you being on market for that long. So we need to have a discussion around price. And if it's there in black and white, and it's also there in what is being selling in the area in the last month or whatever, around that listing as well. So have what's on market, what's sold, and where does their property sit in comparison to that. and put it back to them. You know, where, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, where do you see your property? How does it compare to this one, to this one? And they will tell you. They know. They just, that is a face-to-face conversation for me with my owners, definitely.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. So again, one of the things I took away, and it was a bit of a light bulb moment at AREC, and you know, I've been saying it a long time anyway, having a client for life. And in the UK, we're way too transactional. You know, we do the transactions, that's it. The sellers or the buyers go into witness protection. They never get heard from here. They don't have the over the 3 days after, month after, 3 month after, annual health check, whatever. The best agents do,
Yes.
but you know, the majority of people here go into witness protection. Full stop. So, but the light bulb moment for me was every single person. I think it was a lady called Sarah Hackett who was on stage.
Yes. Yeah.
And she talked about having a buyer for life. So literally anybody who comes into your office, there are touch points for them that even if they buy through another agent, buy through a competitor, they're going to remember you. They're going to become your raving fan. They're going to share, you know, I know I didn't buy through Sarah, but actually you should be, you know, telling friends, family, colleagues, or neighbors that Sarah is a person to go to. So what are you doing? You talked about touch points. What are the touch points you're doing so that these people, even if they don't buy through you, or they do buy through you, become your clients for life?
Yeah, sure. Everyone is added to our database. So from open home inspections, or whether I meet them, or whether I'm doing callbacks and they've said, we have just purchased another property, I get the information from them where they've purchased, and I keep my data, like put it in my database. We also tag them under an area, under their postcodes. And from there, if we've heard that they've purchased a property, we will send them just a card or something simple. Every Monday, everyone gets area results in their postcode. So relevant information. That is by email, by text message. They get newsletters, quarterly newsletters. If something is had a crazy result and it's broken record in the area, we will pick up the phone and call the database. Even if it's our result, fantastic. If it's not, just to let them know that what is going on in their area. We offer price check-in as well. So obviously do anniversary cards to them, anniversary calls, offering free market appraisals just to see how much their property's gone up or down at that time. Just all little points. But if they're in the database and they're getting an email from us weekly with results, it's just a touch point every week that just goes out to them. Which I feel that for me, that helps me to stay relevant. I'm very involved in the community as well, in the local schools around the area. I'm always doing stuff for charity or anything like that I'm doing. I just put it out there to my database.
Okay, lovely, amazing, thank you. So coming back, you talked about when you went into sales, you didn't realize at the time, but you were working with superstar agents.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
What are the qualities of the superstar agents that you came across?
Well, I was working very close with Di, obviously. Di had ways of doing business that I'm very grateful that she taught me. She was very, very personable. She was an incredible person. She was one of the first that brought in styling of properties back then, back in the day. So she had a way about her of, you know, what was really important with presentation of properties and how they'll present it, which angles of photos, you know, open home inspections, all of that. She was very particular. So also I worked very closely with a lady called Debbie Donnelly. She owns PPD with Alex, so it's Panza, Donnelly, and Phillip. So she was a leading agent in the area. So I just was a sponge to her, how she communicated, how does she negotiate, how she went about all of that. Another agent there was Gary Sands. He was really personable, had a very niche Paddington market. So it was just all different techniques. And really lucky, they were all agents that wrote, you know, a good volume of properties. They all like to also go on holidays. So I was the junior agent that never went on holidays when they were on holidays, and they used to give me the keys to all their properties they were selling. So I would show the buyers, ring the buyer inquiries, take people through the homes, get offers and ring them and say, hey, Deb, I've got this offer. What do you want me to do with it? How do you want me to deal with it? And she'd coach me through that. So she had a way, Gary had a way, Di had her way, and then just created my own way. But at the time, I was doing it. I didn't really think too much about it, to be honest. But now looking back, I just absorbed so much and learned so much through that period that I worked closely with all those agents that have helped me be the agent I am today, definitely. So very, very, very grateful.
So when I went to AREC 6 years ago, one of the
Yes.
best things I've learned was how to become a better skilled negotiator. So in the UK, fees are, I think the average UK fee is about 1%. So
Yes,
I know
right.
you're going to fall off your chair in a second. Now, I know your fees are high. I was with Troy, and Troy said, and I can't remember who the agent was, but in one of their areas, they're getting 3.3% and the competitors are getting 2.2%. So, there's a big difference. But can you share a few tips around negotiation, maybe how to get a higher fee, and go from there?
I feel with negotiation your fee, you can't undersell yourself and your ability and what results you've had in the area. So, and the brand. So I'm really fortunate to now work at McGrath with the brand. It's a very strong brand out there in the marketplace. So what we offer to the market that no one else can offer. So, and I believe in the brand. And that's why I'm obviously at McGrath, and I've been at McGrath now for nearly 13 years. So, and then my local knowledge. I've been living in the area, selling in the area for a long time and have had great results. So backing my local knowledge, McGrath brand, and my skills and experience, and selling that to them. And quite often, I'm really fortunate now that if I've sold something in an area, I've got the brochures, I've got the stats of how many people came through, I've got the buyer list, I've got the people that missed out. So here it is here. No one else can offer you this. I can, and I can get you a result. So not being wishy-washy, being quite direct, and having all the stats out there to show them. That helps me.
Okay, fantastic. You know what, Marnie? I would love to use you. I love the work that you do in the community. I love the weekly newsletters that you send me with all the results in the area. But I've got one of your competitors who said he's going to do it half the price. Why should I use you?
You should use me because of my results in the area, what I've sold down the street, my strong database, the McGrath brand, and also you pay for what you get. Where is that agent's results? What are they offering you? If they're offering you at that fee, they could be desperate for the business. So if they can't negotiate your price, they can't negotiate a price for themselves, how can they get you the best result for your house? You just got to get a little bit of doubt in them to then come around and secure the business. And sometimes I walk in there at the beginning when I'm sitting down in the lounge room with them and say, what type of agent are you looking for? Because if you're looking for the cheapest agent, I'm not that agent for you, because I'm not going to be the cheapest agent, but I will be an agent that will provide you service, guide you through the way, and give you confidence that I have actually got the best result for you.
Okay, thank you. Very nice, very nicely put. You didn't realise you're going to be doing some role play on here, did you? But look, I know a lot of people that are going to be watching or listening to this. These are, the challenges that they face on a daily basis.
Yes.
So thank you so much for sharing that. You talked about Josh Fegan. You talked about his blueprint. What is now? I won't go into the whole detail of it.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
But what's interesting is that you talked about you've got a mentor, you've got a trainer, you've got somebody that helps
Absolutely.
you. So why did you go down that route, and why do you think it is the importance of having a Josh Fegan helping you improve and get better?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I feel that you never can stop learning. Things change and technology moves so quickly and fast, and you never can stop learning. For me, really lucky when I joined McGrath, I had John as a mentor and a trainer, and he, sat me down and gave me the self-belief that he could double my figures and how he would do that. And that happened. And then I wanted to grow and grow my team. So, just always trying to learn how to do that and what I can implement in my business to make me be able to do that. Because at that stage when I first joined McGrath, I was just by myself. And then within a year, I put on my first PA, and then it was, when am I going to put on my second PA? So John has been amazing and still is fantastic. He's always just available for us. I've got a great relationship there. But then I went to a blueprint of Josh's 1 year. I have to say it did take me, I think, 2 or 3 blueprints before I actually digested and thought, you know what, I really want to give this a good go. So I've got 3 kids. So I was at Di Jones, left Di Jones, I started a little boutique rent roll and then sold it, and then was, busy juggling life with kids. And then started at McGrath. And I was in the business, but I wasn't 100% committed, as in self-belief as well, that I could do the figures. And joining McGrath and a bigger network, it was quite overwhelming. And I was around people that were doing $1 million, $2 million. I was doing $200,000. So sitting down with John gave me the self-belief that I could double and triple my business. And then it started happening. I'm like, oh my God, how can I then implement systems to make my life more, scheduled and a little bit more easy, and not running around all the time, even though I feel like I still run around all the time. But so I went to a blueprint, and I was kind of took it all in, but never really implemented too much, to be honest. Went to another blueprint, and I'm like, yeah, I'm starting to implement Josh's systems. And then you could see the results from that. And then have later, done some more work with Josh. And now, I do catch-ups with Josh once a month with a group of us now, though, which other business owners in the area. So it's a really good session that we all just, feed off each other and get ideas and implement, but it's just networking as well. It's a great session. But I have implemented a lot of Josh's systems into my business to make me more scheduled, I suppose. And it's also for me having somebody else make me accountable to my figures and helping me along the way to how I can get there and keep doubling my business.
Okay, so a couple of points there. So I think John, was a pioneer of estate agency throughout the world.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely exceptional.
He still is. He's still incredible.
It was an honour for Luke and I to meet him and Troy when we came over. Yeah. We had 45 minutes with him, and
John and Troy, they're incredible at what they do. John's amazing.
But one of the things that I took away from John, and he was kind enough to share a little video with me, what's his one thing, and it is to think big.
Yes.
And I know I won't mention the agent's name, but he said to the agent, what's your 10-year plan and what's your 5-year plan? And this agent's 10-year plan was achieved within 13 months, and his 5-year plan was achieved within 6 months, because John helped him think bigger, and he did it similar to, how he's helped you think big and make a difference.
He's all over. John is very much about that, the self-belief and thinking big and knowing your figures. I remember going into one of our first meeting with John. He's like, how many listings, how many appraisals, how many do you convert? And I'm like, I've got no clue. So he's all about your figures. But giving you that self-belief, definitely.
But the other thing that you came up with that I think is really important, and you talked about, and thank you for your honesty, is where you were talking about going along and actually taking action. So there's a lot of people that go to these courses, and 2 types of people: were self-developers and the shelf developers.
Yes.
I think at the start maybe you were the shelf developer, where the notes went on the shelf and culminated us, but then actually you've gone and you've become that self-developer. How do people struggle to take action and implement stuff and implement?
Absolutely.
That makes a difference between 95% of the agents, the ones that take action, the ones that get it
100%. I 100% believe that I did a lot of courses and didn't action hardly anything into my business, and I was that shelf person. I feel that I actioned when I was 100% committed and had the self-belief that I can do this. I can actually make a career and give my family the best life I can. And you need to know your why and what drives you and what you want, and set goals to have something to work towards. So when I had that self-belief and had my goals and started seeing that I could do that, then I was driven. And surrounding myself with people, obviously, that had the belief in me as well, and that helped me along the way in real estate and out of real estate as well, the support.
Okay, thank you. So you also talked about 3 kids and juggling. Yes. And juggling life. How do you manage to do that?
It's not easy, and it's still not easy. My kids are older, but older they are, the bigger the problems. But so it wasn't easy, and I'm not saying it is easy, and it's also not for everyone. But it was the choice I made. I have been with my kids for being a single mum as well, so I was driven to give them the best life I could. And provided with the best schooling and holidays that I could. So they were certainly my why that drove me. And it wasn't easy, but it was actually when I implemented into my business an ideal week and scheduling everything in advance. My ideal week is I sat down and how can I make this work? So I did, and again, that's not for everyone, but I did mix my personal life with my kids with my business calendar. So I was dropping off in the calendar, picking up in the calendar, going to touch football training or footy training or rugby training or swimming lessons. It was all in my calendar. And then I worked my appointments around my kids' sporting. And when I'm in the office, I was in the office. I wasn't ducking out at lunchtime doing appraisals. I was making the appointments work around my kids' schedule and owning that, kind of just telling people this is when I can come, not at first I used to go, oh, you know, I wouldn't tell them I had my kids' appointment or my kids' swimming. But no, hey, look, you know what, my daughter's at netball training or touch football training. While she's at training, I'm going to come and sit down with you for an hour and do that kind of stuff. So I mixed my personal life with my business life, really strict schedule around that. Mondays and Tuesdays, I would make sure that I was in the office both days, not moving. If I had an appointment, it would be on my way home or in the morning. So I still work to an ideal week now, to be honest. It's how I work best. I'm more organized, and the checklist around everything that we do. And when I've grown and I now got 2 full-time staff and 1 casual, everyone knows their lanes. Everyone knows what they have to do in the business. Everyone follows the checklist. Because it's just simple, follow the checklist. So everyone knows not to schedule me an appointment on a Monday or Tuesday. If they do, it's on my way home. Wednesdays we have open for inspection days. I'm back to back, and I make myself back to back. If I'm not back to back, I'll pick up the phone and call a client and say, hey, I'm in the area, do you want a free appraisal? And fill the gaps with appraisals around the area if I can, or catch up with clients for coffee if I can. So I make sure Wednesdays I'm out of the office all day. So just in working to an ideal week, that has changed my world, to be honest. And mixing my personal life and my business life together and scheduling all that in. And when I list a property, I schedule my meetings in with the vendors too, because they're also busy people. And I'd sit down and say, okay, let's get the calendar. This is when your property goes live after the first Saturday. Let's catch up mid that week. Grab your calendar. Let's put the appointments in now so we all know where we're at and you know when we're going to see each other. So just scheduling everything in, and it has helped me.
Thank you. So a famous person once said, "Once what gets scheduled gets done." So
yes, so true.
So 100%. And also, I think what's really interesting what you said there is about having checklists for everything. So, you know, if you do something more than once, you should have a system and process for everything.
Absolutely.
And having checklists there to help you make a massive, massive difference.
Yeah, huge difference. Everything in my business has got a checklist.
Okay,
so
brilliant.
yeah,
I'm really conscious of time, so thank you. I'm going to ask you
no problem whatsoever.
two final questions. So apart from Josh, what else are you doing to learn, self-improve, get better? Are there any books that you recommend, podcasts that you recommend that people should be listening to or reading?
You know, for me, I'm look, and I'm not coming back to Josh all the time, but I'm just always at McGrath actually first. Every morning, we've always got John interviewing other people or Troy interviewing other people within the business, which is really good, motivating new ideas. So that I do. Reading, don't read too much, to be honest. Josh is always throwing books at me, but I'm not a great reader because my life is hectic. I'm literally an Uber driver for my daughter from the moment I finish work till 9:30 at night. And I get up early. I train first thing in the morning. So I'm up at 5 a.m. every day. Between 5 and 7:30 is my time to train. And that helped me like with my mindset. So training is an important part of my daily routine. So to get my mindset in the right frame of mind to work. So I train. You know, I rarely have late nights. I drive my daughter everywhere. So I'm literally her Uber driving. So reading at night is just not me. For me, I love diving into the ocean, and the morning, you know, yoga or Pilates or whatever I do is my time for my mindset and my health. So I have focused on my well-being as a person and keeping myself healthy. And I have obviously McGrath, which are incredible. Josh Fegan, he has all podcasts. He has amazing podcasts at the moment with Con, Alex Phillips, all of those. I listen to them. I'm really lucky to be surrounded by people like that. Obviously Con at McGrath as well, that they're just, you know, they're away, but we're always getting podcasts and everything just thrown at us in our email. So it's forever just listening to people like that. That I do, and whatever courses, you know, at Kylie Walsh is also an incredible trainer in Sydney. You know, at McGrath, we have opportunity of going to those training sessions. So we're invited all the time. So I'm forever going, yes, I'm coming. You know, whatever I take, if it's one thing I take from that and implement, it's one thing better for my business. So I'm very fortunate that being at McGrath, that it's just offered to us. And then I do my Josh Fegan once a month. I also have my stats go to Josh Fegan to make me accountable every week. And my staff, Danielle, who's my associate agent, he makes us accountable, which, you know, he'll say, you've had a terrible week, you know, phone calls and just little comments. So it's accountability, right mindset. And for me, surrounding myself with other people and friends outside the business that are positive influence to me.
Brilliant. Fantastic. So final question.
Yes.
If I could tell you one thing, what would it be? So what's your one bit of advice you would share with the audience? 30 seconds, 1 minute that stood you in good stead.
Absolutely. So find something that you love and go after it and have no self-doubt and 100% commit to that.
Perfect.
Do something you love. I'm so lucky that I still love real estate.
Amazing. Look, thank you for your time. You've been an amazing guest. You have shared so much gold. Didn't even realize you were going to do some role play this morning. So thank you. That's definitely going to help. And loads of what you've shared today is going to make a massive difference to the UK audience. So thank you so much for your time. If people want to get hold of you, Marnie, how do they do that, please?
Please reach out anytime on email or WhatsApp is fine as well. So I'm sure you have my details there, or you could share my details, but it's Marnie Senior at McGrath.com.au. You can find me just Googling me. Reach out anytime if you want copies of anything that I do. Happy to share.
Oh, good. Well, I'm going to ask you for all your checklists and anything else that you're happy to share.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if Marnie's kind enough to share them, I will happily pass them on with people if Marnie's happy.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So thank you so much, Marnie. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. I'm really grateful. Please like it, share it, subscribe, tag people in. And I look forward to seeing you on the next Lunchtime Learning. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Marnie, for being a great guest.